How's it going, you guys? My name is Tuan Tran and welcome to my videos. Alright, as you can see in the previous video, I announced that I was under the lineage to Joe Bruce Lee through Sifu Peter Win, where Sifu Peter Win's Si-Gun is Guru Danny Santo. Now, obviously, I always get this question like, what business does someone like me, a fitness professional, have to becoming a martial arts instructor? Well, if that's the case, who's supposed to be a martial arts instructor? I mean, would you want your martial arts instructor to be someone who is well versed in understanding strength, power, athletic capabilities? What about injuries? I mean, I do a lot of post-rehab sessions where I help individuals overcome injuries like, missing ACLs, meniscus problems, shoulder impingements, a lot of chronic back pain and all kinds, whether it be lateral central stenosis, degenerative disc disease, scoliosis, things like that. So whether it be improving on speed, power, coordination, or whether it be overcoming injury, when do you want someone who can help you in all those different fitness aspects as a martial artist so that you can continue your growth? It's my question to you, because if you feel that a martial artist should not know anything about that and they should just teach you techniques and forms, I guess that's your decision and that's your opinion. But I feel like I could be a very beneficial martial arts instructor for those who might want me to help them on all aspects, where not just forms and techniques and katas and so forth. All right, so moving on. So I have what I like to call it my martial arts functional performance cycle, where certain things need to be, I guess you could say, prerequisites in order to move on to other things. Kind of like the martial arts themselves, certain forms and techniques or katas are much more difficult than others, so you have a basic foundation that you have to start from and move forward. Well, being an athlete and having athletic capabilities to do something a certain way is no different. You need to make sure that you have a strong foundation as an athlete. And being a martial artist and being an athlete is a marriage. So both need to be moving and progressing appropriately. If they're not, then you are scared and you're going to be heavily handicapped to depend on one way too much over time. So make sure that you're doing what you need to do to stay balanced as an individual, as a martial artist, and as an athlete. So as you can see, I have them listed on the left-hand side, so I'm going to go through one by one. The definitions I'm going to give you is kind of like more the post-rehab corrective exercise definition, in the sense of how to overcome like an injury. But I'll also try to explain it in an athletic performance and also as a martial artist on the scale. So the first one we will talk about is joint stability and joint integrity. So joint stability is the key component in the medical exercise process. Strength is a component of stability, but it alone does not make a stable joint. Stability is control of the joint at all points in the range of motion and 360 degrees around the joint. Remember, joint must absorb forces in all directions. Joint integrity is the ability for the joint to stay healthy. If a joint is injured in any way possible, it compromises the muscles from firing and the body's ability to absorb forces. Think about that real quick. Inside out. No matter how powerful your muscles are, how big and strong and beautiful they are, once you have a torn ligament, you can't move. Once you have a partially torn ligament, the ability to move is compromised. Once you sprain something, as simple as maybe a jammed finger, that could change the way you can hold or grab and control things with your hand, right? Or even strike things. What happens if you break a bone inside out? No matter how powerful the muscles and ligaments are, if the bone's broken, you're in a cast. You're not going to do anything with that lever or arm, or lower extremities if it's your legs. So here's the thing. If you don't have good joint stability and good joint integrity, there's no way that you can continue any kind of training. Once injury sets in, training ends. So that's why joint stability and integrity is number one on my list in this cycle. Okay, so now moving on. Number two, balance. First, I'll give you the definition of more of a corrective exercise and medical exercise professional. Balance is a major factor for many of our senior clients and those with neurological conditions, stroke patients, diabetics, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and so forth. So if you begin balance training with pelvic strengthening, core strengthening, spine strengthening. Balance is not a function of the extremities, but is the foundation of the pelvis and the spine. Interesting. So on a medical post-rehab corrective exercise definition, it's interesting that they say to balance the body is more about the center of the body versus the extremities. In a way, it's very true. I mean, think about it. If those areas are not stable, no matter what your extremities do, you can't rebalance the entire body. Now, the funny thing is that it talks about neurological conditions. Well, of course, if your mind is compromised, your mind controls the rest of your body. So there's no balance to the body if the mind can't control it. Now, I'll talk about balance in the sense of athletes. And so an athlete with great balance has the ability to do many movements in any space, right? So the thing is that let's say a running back try to juke someone on the field. Let's say a skater trying to control all their movements while skating on ice. A gymnast, exploding on the platform and controlling their landings and balancing that aspect. A fighter able to engage with explosive movements and stay balanced and control their body in space around their opponent. So those are all aspects of balance in the sense of athletic performance and as a martial artist. So there's all kinds of things. And there's even one more aspect of balance, is the balance of muscles in the sense of relationships. If a muscle is too strong and another muscle is too weak, that's an imbalance. If a muscle is too taut and too tight while other muscles are too loose, that's another imbalance. So that's functional balance, right? So there's a lot of ways to look at this, but balance is key in many aspects if you want to progress as an athlete and as a martial artist. All right, the next most important thing in this cycle, range of motion and flexibility. Again, more of the medical exercise definition. Range of motion and flexibility are essential to joint movement. Flexibility is lost as we age. It is part of the natural aging process. Joint mobility is important. Joint structure glide and spin in the joint. These are accessory movements and are not under our voluntary control. So the thing is that our bodies have to be able to move on a subconscious ability, right? And these ranges of motions and our flexibility are dictate what we could do, right? So if let's say you want to lift a heavy object, bench press, deadlift, power clean. Well, if you have better flexibility, you have better range of motion when it comes to your biomechanics. You have more leverage, so you can be able to move more weight. If you can move more weight, then you're going to generate a heavier lift, which would help to develop a stronger body, correct? Now, if you have the flexibility of an 85-year-old man, not only will you not have the proper leverage to move an object or move a person if you're sparring them, but you also increase the risk of injury because you're in a position of lack of leverage. So that means you put more stress on your joints in order to move something, and that could easily strain and overtax the joint complex and the muscles attached to those joint complexes. So there you have it. I mean, again, the power and range of motion and flexibility of a gymnast or Olympic weightlifter, or the range of motion and flexibility of an 85-year-old man. It's your choice, right? And that's the thing, you got to invest in these aspects. Everything I'm talking about, you have to train for them. You have to progress in them. And if you don't have a program that is helping you to progress in these aspects accordingly to improve your weaknesses and capitalize on your strengths, then whose fault is that? Muscle recruitment, again, the definition from my studies. Muscle recruitment is an interesting concept that is very important to strength. Not all the muscle fibers fire during a muscular contraction. As we grow older, we fall prey to disuse syndrome. We find less muscle fibers are recruited. This further diminishes strength and power, and more of our muscle atrophies because of disuse. Half the battle is waking up the muscle and getting more fibers fired, thereby increasing strength. Look at the body of a 20-year-old, look at the body of a 40-year-old, then look at a body of a 60-year-old. Certain muscles start to atrophy over time. All the muscles that are dictated by fast twitch muscle fibers start to disappear. And then the physique of the individual disappears. Well, if you want to be a good martial artist or a great martial artist, you have to have this fast twitch capability, right? The ability to recruit muscles to move in a very explosive, in a very functional way. If your training program and your martial arts program doesn't do this and steers you in one direction, then as you get older, things will start to atrophy, and then you will lose the ability to recruit muscles accordingly to optimize movement. You see, so remember, you have fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fiber recruitment patterns, and make sure that you're training in a way to maximize both. I'll give you an easy example. The glute max is a muscle that's designed for hip extension and to be very explosive in that department. The ability to sprint, run, jump, kick, use footwork, all that's important when it comes to the glute muscle, but if that glute muscle atrophies, then all those aspects are also compromised on an athletic level and a martial artist level. So just a quick example of that one. Next one is proprioception. Proprioception. I asked this to people, they're like, what is proprioception? I don't even know the definition of this. Well, this is a very important definition. I'll first give you more of the medical exercise definition. This is the ability to know where the extremities are in space in relationship to the rest of the body. Swelling and pain can significantly reduce proprioception. Surgery also may reduce proprioception. Proprioceptors are located in the joint capsule. Damage to the joint capsule reduces proprioception. Slow PNF activities are excellent for improving proprioception. Close your eyes, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Where is your left hand in space? Where is your head in space? What is your knee doing? You know, what is your foot doing? That's proprioception. The awareness and ability of knowing where your body is without having to see it. But yet, a lot of people ask me that when they're doing their exercise, they have to see what's going on in order for them to know that it's working. Is that true? I can actually talk to you right now and know that I'm flexing my bicep, or I can extend my leg and flex my quad. As an athlete, you're doing like 10 things roughly in the same 1 minute. So how can you identify and observe every single muscular contraction happening in a certain sequence to make something fire, right? I mean, you have over 500 muscles in the human body, and all of them are moving on a subconscious level. You're not telling each muscle to turn on consciously before the next one turns on. Just like as I speak to you, my lungs are doing something, my chest is doing something, my diaphragm is doing something, my eyes are blinking, my mouth is moving. All that's happening on a proprioception level. I'm not telling anything to do anything, but I know that all these things are happening at the same time on a subconscious level. And last, as a martial artist, well, proprioception is everything, right? The way you can feel energy, the way you can feel your body move, the awareness of what your feet are doing as your upper extremities are doing something different, and the way you're trying to take advantage of your opponent depending on footwork, body position, grappling, ground, game, submissions, and so forth. So all that is proprioception. So if a person doesn't understand how to train that aspect, how can they truly move forward as an athlete and as a martial artist? Coordination. Again, definition as a medical exercise, corrective exercise specialist. Coordination and proprioceptions are almost synonymous. Firing of muscle fibers in a specific sequence is important. This is sometimes lost with chronic pain. Short-range strengthening activities can bring the proper firing sequence, followed by activities of daily living-based training. Coordination, think about it. Do a dance, cha-cha, merengue, salsa. How well does your body move in that sequence? All right, let's get the jump rope out. Let's do a bunch of different variations on the jump rope. Agility ladder, same thing. To give you a bunch of movement steps to work on agility. How fast can you go? Different footwork drills for different martial arts, boxers, karate, silat, Panatugan, punch combinations when it comes to using your fists, elbows, headbutts, knees. I mean, you name it, it can happen. Add offense, defense, advance, retreat, retreat, advance, movements, counter movements, blocking movements, defensive movements. All this is high-level coordination because all this has to happen in a sequence, right? And the better you are, the faster you go. So usually the individual that has better coordination will take advantage of the individual who has lack of coordination, especially when it comes to athletics, especially when it comes to sparring among martial artists. So coordination is a big thing, but also it has to come after all the other prerequisites that I just talked about, right? Endurance. Endurance is more of that specific sports skill, athletic performance skill now that you've kind of taken care of all of the other things. So here's the definition on a medical exercise and corrective exercise specialist. Cardiovascular, muscular, and neurological capacity also have an aspect of endurance. Neurological. Never even thought about that, huh? Well, the thing is that our minds control everything. If your mind is compromised, how is the body going to move properly? Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. Just name 3 big mental illnesses, right, that can compromise your ability to control your body regardless of how badly you want to move your body. Strokes, another one, right? We know how to improve cardiovascular endurance, but muscular and neurological are important also. When improving function, develop the program based on the time and energy required to perform activities of daily living. Activities of daily living are a great way to practice things because you do it every single day. By the time you accumulate ADLs, you could be doing hundreds if not thousands of movements, so it's a great way to change your habits. Now again, endurance is very sport specific, very martial arts specific. If you have a martial arts that deals with a lot of grabbing, well, you're going to do a lot of grip and hand and forearm endurance training, right? So they can control the person. If you do a lot of kicking, then you got to have great leg endurance in order to perform all those kicks like they do in Taekwondo or in Muay Thai. Endurance in general, as an athlete, and the ability to just continuously practice, train, work, and spar. And then mental, psychological endurance in the sense that if the mind is wavering, well, then the body is going to follow. It's not going to be very effective. Okay, moving on. Next, we have strength. Well, here's the definition in the sense of the post-rehab. Strength is well understood by all medical exercise professionals. Strength is important, but joint stability is also crucial to function. Remember, human movement is dependent on stability more than it is primary muscle contraction. Strength brings about stability. Train for joint stability in both the middle and the end ranges of joint motion. So again, strength can only be trained once the joint integrity and joint stability is intact. So we've talked about that. And strength is just basically the ability to do things at greater forces for a duration. A lot of times I talk about anaerobic threshold as the combination of endurance and power, which is strength, right? So that's very important as an athlete and as a martial artist in the sense that when you have the opportunity to take advantage of something, you have to employ enough strength to seize the opportunity. Next one is power. So power by definition in the medical exercise, corrective exercise curriculum. Power is the ability to generate force quickly. We see this in many activities of daily living. The ability to generate power is an important capacity for all. Power isn't just for athletes. Power is lost with aging due to change in type 2 muscle fibers. Getting out of the chair is a classic example of power. Again, overcoming gravity is an example of power. Anything that where you have to exert, where you have to move very quickly is power. So in the world of athletes and martial artists, when you kick, that's power. When you punch, that's power. When you do a slip, dip, and drag, that's power. Or a push shuffle, or a heel toe sway. When you have to jump, when you have to grab, when you have to try to double leg sweep, or tackle someone's legs, or take them to the ground, or submit them and lock them. All those are power components. But power is the end of the spectrum because you have to have all the other prerequisites to work on power. Also, power leads to an increased risk of injury because of the risk factors associated with power. So a lot that goes in that. And last is mastery of skill. This is pretty simple. It's basically you have the ability to activate or execute a movement to virtually 100% accuracy of success. As a golfer hitting a ball 300 yards down the fairway. That's a baseball player hitting a home run. That's a tennis player getting an ace, with 120 mile/per-hour serve. That's the ability to shoot free throws like a 95% or higher when you're in the NBA. That's the ability of a hockey player to hit, 99 out of 100 slap shots into the goal. That's the ability of a martial artist or a boxer to hit the focus mitts with 99 to 100% accuracy, no matter where the focus mitts are. The ability to dodge a punch, or the jab every single time it comes your way. That's all mastery. And you have to have a very high level of success for it to be truly mastery. Even 90% is not considered mastery because anyone can tell you if you mess up 10% of the time in certain things, especially in fighting, that means you had 10% of the time where there's openings where your opponent could take advantage of you. So you see, mastery is just one of those things. Or even mastery of the technique. If you perform it 100 times and you only get 90% of the time, that means you still messed up 10 times out of the 100 times you execute that movement. So there's a lot that goes into it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my narration of that. That took quite a bit of time, but it's gives you insight of my philosophy when it comes to how to train individuals when it comes to the martial arts, when it comes to athletic performance, and also to prevent and overcome injuries. I mean, because that's a part of life. I have a lot of clients that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even in their 70s. Nature, aging, time, all those factors that you cannot get away from. So make sure if you're working with someone, they can help you overcome that. If they can't, then maybe you have to make a decision, is this right for you? And as I explained before, I am under probation as an apprentice under Sifu Peter Wynn to start teaching Japan Jiu-Jitsu system. So if you need help with that system and you want to learn the original contents, give me a call or email me, and then we can see what we can set up. For anyone who wants to meet and work with Sifu Peter Wynn, you can contact him, and he's based off in California. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed that video and hope that gives you a little bit more enlightenment about my approach when it comes to being a fitness professional, athletic performance professional, and a martial artist. Okay, well, until next time, take care, more to come.